Welcome back to the Fantasy Waiver Wire. This is your boy Tubby. With me as always is Lee. Eagles are 2-0. We got to throw that out there real quick. And yeah, man, welcome back. At this podcast, man, what we do is we talk about our personal fantasy football league that we're in. You can come on this journey with us, and you can go through the growing pains like me. I'm 0-2 right now, or you can experience the highs with Lee. It's 2-0 right now. And yeah, man, we basically going to get into it, man, and talk about our talk about this past week 2. A lot happened, a lot of injuries around the league. A lot of quarterbacks we thought were going to be good aren't playing well, and it's just a lot going on. But mainly, man, the injuries have been the story for the past 2 weeks. What's up, Lee? How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. I mean, yeah, like you said, 2-0. This time last year, in both my leagues that I was in, I was 0-2. So I'm 2-0 in both this year. So it's just, it's not to me. Fantasy is one of these things that you can be good, but you got to have luck as well. And that's the thing with what's happened with these injuries, is that the players who got Nick Chubb, at the beginning of the season, that Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that was probably a mid pick, but to get Nick Chubb and have him go out, or Joe Burrow with his injury problems, and who else went down this week? That was the big story. Saquon's hurting. Yeah. So he's not out.
May not be out for the season, but
right. But they've just been injuries that have been where Cam Akers not performing. So people out. Nobody drafted Kyron Williams in the first round of the draft. So there's a lot of craziness that's going out there.
Big time.
And you just got to get a little bit of luck on your side, because those guys, one of the guys in my other league, just about every one of his starters is injured. And that's just bad luck. There's no, it didn't draft bad. You just don't know. And you know what's funny? In that league, my first pick the draft was Derrick Henry. And when it came back around, I was trying to choose between Chubb and Tony Pollard.
Okay.
And I took Pollard, even though I hate the Cowboys. I took Pollard because he didn't have to compete with Zeke for carries. I knew that Chubb was going to have a good situation as well, but I liked the offensive line in Dallas better with Pollard not having to share with Zeke. And so far it's worked out. And well, especially worked out since he's not out for the season. And we'll see what happens with Pollard, because it could happen to anybody at any week. It's just the way of the game.
Yeah, man, that's it's like I said, like in the intro, injuries have been the just, it's been shaking everything. You got guys that still haven't returned, like Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys like Cooper Kupp that haven't even returned back. It's just so many injuries out there. You have Jonathan Taylor, he's still on the PUP list. There's so much going on, man. But what you're actually getting to see, which is dope, is that we get to see these new guys like Puka.
Yeah.
He's bust on the scene now. He's set like a rookie record for the first 2 games. I don't know if it's catches or yards or something like that. They may have got a Cooper Kupp 2.0.
Yeah.
Fell right into their lap there, So there's a lot of players. Who else is playing well around the league, surprisingly?
On the other side, Tutu Atwell, we talked about him last week. He was been, he's not as great as Puka right now in the numbers, but he's putting up good numbers, enough to where Van Jefferson is basically non-existent in that offense. So that was one that was really good. I think Zay Flowers, a rookie. I love when the rookies come in.
Jose, yeah, back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, when the rookies come in and establish themselves early, and you just know they're going to be good. Right, Raheed Shaheed in New Orleans, he's showing flashes. I like what Josh Reynolds is doing in Detroit with Jameson Williams out. So if you didn't get Amon-Ra St. Brown, then Josh Reynolds has been picking up the slack as that second wide receiver. So there's so many like really good flashes of that nobody expected and nobody drafted. And that's the great thing about football. It's nice. And especially if you drafted low, you got all these guys on the waiver wire.
Yeah. I was sitting there right before the game started, sitting out on the back porch and sitting there looking at Josh Reynolds. I'm like, man, Reynolds had a good week last week. Man, can he repeat it? And sure thing, man, this guy catches a touchdown. I'm just sitting there like, oh man. But all the guys, speaking of like waiver wire, a couple of guys that I've picked up, Nico Collins, Tutu Atwell, and I picked up somebody else. Let me you know what? While we into them, go ahead and bring it up.
Bring it up.
And bring the screen in. As you can see, I lost bad this week. So this is me this week. As you can see, I lost to Gustavo's Rad team, down to 0-2 now. Gustavo goes to 2-0. Let me see my squad real quick.
So while you're doing that, just to go over just the running backs that have been lost by week 2 that people are scrambling for right now going into week 3. Of course, Chubb lost for the season. Devastating to anybody who had Chubb. They don't even can't even wait for him to come back. Saquon, of course, we got the ankle injury. It doesn't look good. So Matt Breida's probably available. This is the thing is right now it's the time where you're getting ready to have those waiver wires. Is the day before everybody does it. So if you have a waiver priority, you need to get your claims in right now. So if you had Barkley, then you got to get Breida or one of these other guys. Aaron Jones is another one that got hurt, a hamstring. Austin Eckler, of course, has been out, and Kelly's been in there. And the problem is I picked Kelly up off the waiver wire last week, and he struggled. He did not perform well. So it doesn't look like Eckler might even play week 3. So, but he will be back, and that's a good thing if you've got him. So you don't have to worry too much. David Montgomery is another one who's gone out. So Jahmyr Gibbs is now going to be the bell cow, but then the other running back they brought in looked pretty decent. So yeah, that's just at the running back position, the injuries we've had already in week 2. So if you drafted, and those are all drafted quarterbacks. I had David Montgomery. And so I've got him on the bench. I think by the time he comes back, it's going to be one of those things where Gibbs has established himself, so he's going to be a supporting role. So he may not be worth starting anymore, but we'll see. It's the injury thing in fantasy is the one thing that you just can't predict and you can't do anything about. What you have to do is you have to play it as best as you can by trying to get these guys that look good. So look at it, running backs. I mean, you just brought up Ford there. That's got to be the number 1 target this week. If you watch the Steeler game, what did he finish with last night? 106 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
And it's already
so, and he
3 catches as well. That's 3 catches as well. Well, 25. That's another 5.5 points in our league. So yeah, man. I mean, he's been consistent. Even last week, he had 15 carries. So they knew something was going on with him. They knew he was, like you mentioned, he played a little Chubb like, beforehand. But yeah, man, he did come in and do his thing. So I agree with you, man. Especially in our league, if you already have him on your bench, then congratulations, you are the man. But yeah, in our league, I imagine that he's going to go first. So a couple guys that are out there. Obviously, Jerome Ford, if you can claim him, you might as well go ahead and claim him off your waiver wire. Guy dropped Nick Chubb in our league, so that's why he's here and he is out. Warren, man, I'll tell you what, Najee Harris, Warren is picking up speed. Najee Harris, man, he looked like he's running in mud, man. I seen him on a cutback a couple times. I'm just like, he doesn't really have any pop to him. And when Warren comes in, he seems like he has a little more pop to him, man. He's definitely catching the ball. So if you're looking for another back off a waiver, somebody just maybe putting a flex, get you about 10 points or so, you can see every week, he's back-to-back weeks, he's got 6 targets. You're in a PPR league, he catches all of those. That's just extra points right there. Most of his points come from his catches. So that's not always bad. And with, Najee Harris, depending on how he's playing.
Warren for me is one of those guys that if you have a very low priority waiver order that you're not going to get Ford.
Right.
The guys may not want to take a chance on Warren because he's behind Najee right now. But like you said, I don't think that's going to last for long. And even if it does, Warren is going to field a lot of Najee's carries. And like I said, the receptions out of the backfield are huge. So yeah, Warren is a really good one to target on the running back side. And I think
Yeah.
running back's the priority. Like we just said, all those ones that went out. It's weird because a lot of people went heavy wide receiver this year, and they have their our share of wide receiver injuries, and we'll get to that shortly. But
Mhm.
running backs have been going down. And somebody mentioned this is why running backs need to be valued more,
Oh, yeah.
is because these guys are getting hurt. But the problem is part of the reason they aren't valued by the owners is because they get hurt and they have to plug somebody else in. So you have to keep 4 running backs on your roster because of this very eventuality. It makes them expendable, and it's sad because these are some really talented guys that are out after week 2.
Yeah.
Who
So I'm
else?
gonna do a recap of this past week league. I'm gonna start with me, Lord Vader. Um, man, just what killed me was um, the Michael Williams and the Keenan Allen. When you every time you're going up against somebody and you guys have the same wide receiver on the team, you're just fighting for receptions and points the whole time. And even though Mike Williams still had a good day, 8 catches, 83 yards, all the touchdowns, the meat, it went to Keenan Allen, man. That was a big difference in there. As you can see, I'm not getting really a whole lot from my running backs. Long story short, my running backs are killing me, man.
Yeah.
My running backs are killing me. Travis Etienne and Damian Pierce, they're just getting me nothing for the most part right now. I thought Etienne would do a lot better in that offense, but they've gotten pass happy. They have the receivers to do it, but they've gotten really pass happy down there. Good to see Kelsey come back. He dropped that one touchdown right at the end. It kind of slipped out of his hands. And then not my biggest mistake, but a mistake was putting Jerry Judy in. I just got into I see Russ Cook for real. I got to just lay off of. He was going to the rookie a lot, and if I would have put in, man, George Pickens or Nico Collins, even Atwell, who I bigged up last week, I picked him up myself, and didn't even put him in, man. And then because he got nothing from Watson, as you can see here, nothing from Watson. 13-6. He could have really blew me out, but his others, with the exception of Algier, yeah, they did their thing, man. So that's how I lost this week, man. But let me see how I can do on the waiver wire. Get me some wide receivers in there that can catch the ball and score me some points, man, and move forward. Let me go over this overview one more time. You want to go over your
Oh,
game,
why
Lee?
not? Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, it sucks when again your receivers don't come up big for you, the guys that you need in a PPR league to come up big. So yeah, so I mean, I was under half a point away from 200 points this week, which in a
Mhm.
PPR league is pretty freaking damn good. I think I was the highest scorer by like almost 50 points, which is crazy. I think the next one was Will with 157. So
Yeah.
I'm not bragging. It's a lot of luck goes into this. And just everybody ended up firing on all cylinders for me this week. I mean, I had Kirk Cousins had 54 points in which is
Mhm.
unbelievable. I kind of started him over Herbert because of knowing that the Vikings were going to play the Eagles and the depleted secondary of the Eagles would come into being. So it's part of it. You've got to know what your matchup is week after week. Allowed me
Mhm.
started off slow in that New Orleans Carolina game, but got me 14 points. Ayuk, after going 30 in week 1, kind of got hurt. He's one that's banged up a little bit, missed about half the plays in that San Francisco game, so that hurt me. But other than that, McCaffrey always solid, Pollard solid, almost 20 points. Hawkinson 25 against the Eagles with 2 touchdowns. Swift, that was a last minute thing for me when I found out that Gainwell was not going to play. Plugged in Swift and it paid off. And now Swift looks like he's the number 1 guy. So I got
Mhm.
lucky. I drafted Swift way late as a bench stash, and it looks like that's going to work out. And of course, Tucker. Kansas City defense is what it is. Defense is going to get you whatever it is. But I'm lucky that Dallas didn't go off for like 47 points this week like they did
Yeah.
against the Giants, so that they just a mild 20 there. So yeah, it was good. It was nice going into Monday night to be like a friggin' 98% chance of winning and I had 1 player left. So yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
and
That
I-
was a
and
week.
and what's fun is guess who gets to play you next this week?
Man, the law of averages shall kick in. I was gonna save it, but I saw this week in my recap, it says, and you get to play Hurts when I pee next week. And I was just like, Hey, I just hope the law of averages kick in and Mahomes finally has that breakout game that he
Yeah.
hasn't had yet this season, man. Yeah, man, Kirk Cousins. I was surprised by mostly anything. I was surprised by Kirk Cousins just because I thought he would get sacked more. I really did. One thing that's underrated about the Eagles line, they aren't getting as many. They're getting some pressure, but they aren't getting those sacks, those bona fide sacks like they were last
Right.
year, man. And that was a big difference, man. Kirk Cousins, 4 touchdowns, man.
Yeah.
But
And again, it was the depleted secondary. I mean, you had
oh,
Bradbury out, you had Reed Blankenship out, so he took advantage of that, and it is what it is. And yeah,
yeah,
the Eagles didn't get to him. They're defensive. They're not struggling on defense, but they definitely have to step it up as far as the pass
yeah.
rush if they're going to stop guys like
Mhm.
Cousins. We got our first question of the night, so I want to take a look at this real quick. We got, I'm not sure if that Maben Hatchet or Hatchet
Yeah.
saying do a trade away CMC, Deontay Johnson, and Fryermuth for Cup, Jacobs, and Kittle. I can give my opinion on this. Whoever's asking for CMC and they're offering Cooper Cup, Jacobs, and Kittle, uh, they're trying to rob you. They're literally might as well put a ski mask on because granted that, like say you're getting rid of Deontay Johnson and you're getting Fryermuth for Kittle. Kittle is hot and cold. He's going to get you some points as a tight end. There, you could probably get if you could get Zach Ertz on the waiver wire, you probably have a solid tight end, more solid than Fryermuth, and you'd solve that problem. And then you're just down to Deontay Johnson versus Cooper Cup. CMC is too valuable, man. I don't know if you're in a PPR league. If you're in a PPR league, then he's even more valuable because he takes over a game. I was so lucky to get him this year, and he's had 20 plus points in 2 games, and it's just going to get better as the 49ers opponents get weaker. So that's my opinion. What do you think, Tubby? Would you do that deal and get rid of Christian McCaffrey for Cup and Jacobs?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just no. I wouldn't. Yeah, Deontay Johnson, he's hurt right now.
Mhm.
So and he's not the caliber of Cup, so that would be a weird trade. Josh Jacobs, he just had a horrible game
Yeah.
this past week. I think he got like -5 rushing yards or something like that. Like that's a horrendous. And then George Kittle, like you said, man, he's hot and cold, man. He's hot and cold. He could really flash, or he could just be a really good blocker some games. So no, I'm not doing that. Um,
One
not
thing I
doing
wanna add too is that if you've got Deontay Johnson and you're not happy and you're trying to get the receiver and you're willing to do this deal to get Cooper Kupp, keep in mind that Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell are looking really good for the Rams right now, and when Cooper does come back, I'm not saying he's not gonna make catches. He's got some competition in the wide receiver. He's not just playing against Van Jefferson now. He's got 2 young, fast receivers who Stafford's starting to get a rapport with. So, if you can get one of those guys, I mean, Puka's probably already gone, but Tutu Atwell might be out there. That
yeah,
could solve your problem if you're wide receiver poor, and that's kind of why you're looking at this. But CMC for me is a hands off. You're gonna have to offer me a lot more if you want Christian McCaffrey off my team. You have to pry it from my cold dead fingers, is what I'm saying.
right. There's certain tiers of players that can be traded for one another, and when you're talking CMC, man, you got to be up there. If you're trading for him, most of the time it'll take multiple people. Something else I wanted to point out. Even though your first stringers are doing good, I mean, your bench is doing well. As you got Tyler Lockett, right, and you got Gabe Davis. And Gabe got 21 points. That's with Shaquille scoring like 2 touchdowns.
Right.
So, man, solid squad, man, solid squad. I don't know. This is kind of gutsy to sit Debo Samuels, but I guess if you sat him for maybe Moss, if you was on a flex with him, then it didn't turn out too bad.
Yeah.
You know, Moss and Debo, but that was gutsy
Yeah.
to sit Debo. And as you see here, like I talked about earlier, man, look at Najee Harris, man.
Yeah.
Look at Najee Harris. 41 carries, 1 catch to Warren's 6 targets. As you can see, if you're in a PPR league, you may want to look at that. The reason why I'm stressing this point is because it's Tuesday.
Yep.
And in our league, you put your waivers in and you wake up in the morning like it's Christmas and see what you got. If you're a real degenerate, you'll stay up until it randomly generates. Sometimes it does it at 3, 4.
Yep.
It's just so random. If you're like some of our friends that are in the Pacific, they get to see it live. It's like normal day for them while we're sleeping. They're up. And you know what's the other thing about them Guam and Japan managers?
Yeah.
They can, while we're sleeping, they can get on, you know, when the waiver wire comes right out and the players drop and you see everything that's been settled, they can eat. They've been up. They're probably at lunch while we're like knocked out cold. They're probably at dinner, like, you know, I've seen white rhinos do it before a couple times, just take advantage of the time difference. Man, because as you see, most of the time ours come off at like 3 and 4 in the morning, depending on how many waivers have been put in.
Yeah,
The traffic, I suppose.
I noticed that last week when the waivers all cleared, then it was just like a bunch of people in there at 4 in the morning just doing whatever to take the scraps that were left over. So that's an advantage. Hey, there's nothing we can do about it. It's you do what you do. Yeah, I'm happy with the bench that I've got. I mean, again, it's you can't predict anything, so a lot of it comes down to just a good draft. I had the number 2 pick, so I went with a strategy and it's working right now. I've got guys that I can trade if I need to. I got guys that if I get injuries, hopefully I got people that can back him up. So I hope Montgomery comes back and then he'll be a good bench player. If not, maybe I'll drop him and try to find somebody else out there because there are some good running backs. So getting back to the waiver, some running backs I did want to bring up. You mentioned Zach Moss. That's somebody we didn't mention yet. That is, if he's on the waiver wire in your league, you need to be looking for him because even if Taylor comes back and it's so up in the air, he's clearly a better back than Deion Jackson is, and is gonna basically be the bell cow for the Colts until Taylor comes back. I don't know if Taylor is. I really don't because he's not until they do something with that contract. He's not. Yep.
Yeah, it's more contract than health. The only thing that gives me a little hope is that I did see him running routes, whatnot, like, you know. So as far as his health wise, he's healthy enough to play. But contract wise, that remains to be seen, man. So it seems like Irsay isn't budging too much when it comes to it seems like Irsay is like a Jerry Jones type of owner, you know, really involved. You know, I don't know most of the owners unless they win a lot Super Bowls. That's how I know Kraft. But everybody else, like, so if you're looking for, you know, certain transaction trends, man, here are some that we mentioned before, just to let you know what's going on in the league. Like we mentioned Ford earlier, Kareem Hunt is making the visit to Cleveland. So it's tough not getting a guy that hasn't been to camp much, but Seattle is trending. People picking up Seattle. Oh, they got 20 points last week against Detroit. Yeah. Okay, so you're in the market for a. I was surprised. I mean, that was a solid game. That game was actually one of the better games of the week.
Yeah, that was an outstanding game to watch. It was, and they played really good defense against a tough team, and I think that's why a lot of people are excited about them now. And then one of the strategies that didn't work out last week was I had picked up anybody going against Arizona in week 1, and it paid off in week 1 because I had the Washington defense score a lot of points. People that picked the Giants defense this week didn't work so well because the Giants,
you can see, they're back on the waiver.
back out, people dumping them, and but some of the defenses that are working out well, if you've seen them, the Chiefs are, which I have in one league, and in our league I have the Chiefs. In the other league I want to pick them up because they're playing the Cardinals this week. And no, it's actually Dallas playing the Cardinals this week. I think the Chiefs have them next week. But yeah, so that's a big thing to look at is if you're looking for a defense. I mean, really, you just got to look at what the matchup is. If you don't have a great defense like the Niners or one of those top teams or the Cowboys, then you got to really look at who they're playing. We got another question here, so I'm gonna put that up here. They got looking at picking up either Mims or Tank Dell. Tank Dell is an intriguing prospect. I'm wary of players that are on Houston because I don't really know what how the quarterback situation is going to be. You got a rookie starting there, so it's one of those things like Bryce Young in Carolina, but he did have a great game against Indy, and so he's bringing up some eyebrows who they got this week? They got Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10
So
targets, man. 10 targets. Like I said, I'm a Nico Collins type dude, but really they had a similar game. Nico just, had the touchdowns, and he had one as well, too. So these seem like the top two guys. Nico Collins and Tank Dell seems like 1 and 2. I'm out there in Houston, but the jury's still out with Houston, man. Another rookie quarterback. There's a lot of young quarterbacks in the league right now in general, but a lot that are starting right now. Yeah, man, Tank Dell or Mims. So let me bring up Mims.
yeah, Mims is Denver. I didn't get to see a lot of that game.
Denzel Mims. That's the Jets wide
No,
receiver.
Marvin
Talking about Marvin.
Mims. Yeah, but he had 113 yards and a touchdown against Washington, and that was a game that really Denver probably should have won.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a bad missed call too. These refs have been horrendous. That was an obvious pass interference call. Just like the AJ Brown. Yeah, I'm going to talk about my Eagles. Just like the AJ Brown one. I mean, the refs are calling it, man. Like they calling it like it's bang bang, but it's really not. Like some of these are pretty early, man, and they're just almost letting the cornerbacks get away with about a 1 second, almost where you can hit the person without anything being considered flagrant in that matter. So Marvin Mims.
Yeah, you heard us earlier. We were singing Josh Reynolds praises. So if you got him already, that's good on you, because I don't even know when Jameson Williams comes back if they're going to be able to, if he's going to be able to unseat Reynolds the way he's playing across from Amon-Ra, and he's getting all the benefits of Amon-Ra getting double teamed. Reynolds is playing out of his head, so that's a great pickup. Marvin Mims, I didn't get to see a lot of this game, but you can't deny with success he is, if he's getting targeted by Russell Wilson, but he only had 2 targets and just two big plays. So I mean, it's tough because on the other side you've got you've got Tank getting 10 targets in one game. So that's very telling that he's they're going to be chipping away. But my fear is just which one's going to have the better offense overall, who's going to play better as the season goes along, that it's going to pay dividends for you by having them. So if you're doing a toss up, I'm going to say if you have to pick one, I would go with Tank Dell only because of consistency, and I'm not 100% sure that Mims is that just one good game with a couple of big plays.
Right.
I would have to see more before I went that route, but that's on me. So it's really got to roll the dice. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. When you look at the numbers, I got to figure out. I know there's a way to do compare where I can bring them both up at the same time. But I still like this page too. But 10 targets, man. That's you're in a PPR league. That's all you need to know for the most part, man. 10 targets to 2 targets. So it's basically like, almost look at it like this. I'm gonna give you a baseball analogy. You got a guy that comes up, strikes out a lot, but he'll occasionally hit some home runs. And you got another guy that's just coming up hitting base hits, getting on high base percentage, man. Tank Dell looks like 10 targets. This is up from 4 last week. I'm going Tank Dell just off of volume alone.
And you got to look at the schedule, see what they got going up. You got to really do your homework as far as, do they have an easier schedule with some easier pass defenses that they can take advantage of. So I'm leaning Tank in that one. We got another question from Stephen L. He is in a 12-man PPR redraft league. A lot of fun there. And this is what he's got. He's got Josh, Bijan, Henry, Javonte, not bad, Evans, McLaurin, Slant Boy, Hollywood, Judy, Thielen, and Cooks as wide receivers. Tight ends, he got Andrew and Kincaid. Does he trade away Henry plus Evans for Hill? If not, should he make any moves? He's 1-1 right now.
Henry, Evans, or Hill. Not should I make any moves? I'm 1-1. Henry and Evans for Hill. No, I'm not trading Derrick Henry, and Mike Evans, who's having a great year with Baker Mayfield so far, for Hill. You talking about the running back for the Bengals, Hill?
I would think no. I'm thinking he means Tyreek.
Oh, Woo, I was way off. That's why I was so
Yeah. So if he means it, just clarify if you mean Tyreek Hill. I'm sure that's what you
I'm
mean.
pretty sure you're at.
Yeah.
I'm
So if
sure you're
you're
right on that.
Henry and Evans for Hill, oof, that's a tough one, man. Yeah, it's Tyreek. So Henry or Evans for Hill. That's a friggin' something I would have to think about. Because Hill, man, I mean, can he make up both the points for that Henry and Evans are gonna get?
Mhm.
Um, right now, Henry is not necessarily struggling, but he's not done Henry numbers, like
Right.
normal. I watched that game on Sunday and I was not enthused because I have him in one of my leagues. He had 18 fantasy points against the Chargers, but he had 80 yards and a touchdown. And that was late. So I was getting nervous there for a while. And then game one at New Orleans, he only had 63 yards and 13 fantasy points. So if you're a Henry owner, you're getting a little nervous after week two. So it's one of those things where I get it. But Henry and Evans going to combine for more points than Hill would? Um, that's the sacrifice you're going to have to make if you want to get Tyreek Hill. I would me right now having Henry, I'd almost lean that way, but it's a tough one. What do you think?
I think because his wide receivers aren't that great. Man, I don't know. I don't think I'm making that trade personally. If I have Henry, because he's still the man, no matter what. He's not injured and he hasn't been benched or he's not losing snaps to anyone in particular that I can name. So he could do a lot, and he's catching the ball more. And Evans, like I said, Evans is having a great year so far. So even if we look at Evans, Mike Evans, I mean, don't get me wrong, what's your call, Mom? Tyreek Hill had a really, really good day. But Mike Evans, look, 18 and 29. I'm not trading that away right now. Not even for Tyreek's. Tyreek had what, 44? And then I think what, 18?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not
So that's a good point. Looking at his roster as a whole, he also has to need should he make any moves. You got to expect that Allen's gonna like be Allen of old. He played really well this last Sunday, and you got Bijan who is turning into everybody that they thought he was. So you got Bijan and Henry. That's nice. So yeah, because in your redraft you probably sacrificed at the wide receiver spot to get those guys. So Evans, McLaurin, not bad. Judy, we'll see. Not bad.
who is Slant Boy?
Yeah, who do you mean by slant boy?
Who is Slant Boy? I'm
Is
gonna
that a
be
is
I'm
that a
humble
racist
myself
thing?
and
Is that a
and
racist thing or just somebody
who
who
is Slant Boy? I was trying to figure it out for a second. But I'm thinking to myself, like, man, who is Slant Boy? I haven't heard
I
that
haven't heard that one
nickname.
either.
I haven't heard about
Oh,
that.
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas.
Then definitely. Michael Thomas was very frustrating to me yet last night if you watch that game because I have Olave and I was like pulling my hair out because he was getting targeted so much when he had 9. Yeah, and granted, he didn't have a ton of yards, but Carr is looking at him like every play. So Thomas is going to get his. I think you're all right. I know what you mean by slant boy though, because yeah, he's not running deep anymore like the Michael Thomas of old. That's Olave now that they're sending. So the big plays are going Olave's way, and he did have 14 points last
Yeah,
night. How many did I can't see your screen? How many did Thomas have last night?
he had
Well,
12.
yeah, so comparable, 12 and 14. So I
Mhm.
know it's tough. It depends on if you really want the shiny toy in Tyreek, if you're willing to pry away the dependable Henry. We got
Right.
another question from Priceless Pigeon here. Do you think I should replace Penny or Miller? I would. As an Eagles fan, I would not want to have Penny on my fantasy team, and I'll tell you why. I watched the game against the Vikings. They had 3 running backs go, and clearly Swift is the number 1 guy. He outshone everybody on the Eagles roster. That 175 yards, you can't argue with that. And it wasn't just that he had big holes, because when Penny got in for that one series, he did nothing. And he had the same offensive line. So that's telling right there. Boston Scott, on the other hand, he got in for as a sub and actually generated some offense for the Eagles when he was spelling Swift. So and then you got Gainwell coming back.
Yeah.
So that would be something that I would probably, I would look at what's out there. If you weren't earlier here in the show, we mentioned a lot of running backs that are available that you could get. I'll run through them just one more time because I have them on my list. If you didn't hear it, um, Jerome Ford, again, you're going to have to be top of the waiver wire to get that guy. Everybody wants Jerome Ford after Chubb went out from Cleveland. Zach Moss at Indianapolis. Jalen Warren in Pittsburgh's good if you're in a PPR league because he's pushing Najee Harris for playing time and he's catching the ball really well. And then we've one that we haven't mentioned yet. And I'm hoping that none of the guys in my other league are listening. I really hope because they know that I do this. Tony Jones Jr. for the Saints last night. After Jamal Williams went out, Kamara's still not back yet, and Kamara's up there in years. So Jones came in and had 2 touchdowns near the end, and he looked like a tank. He was doing what Jamal Williams was expected to do, and Jamal Williams hurt. So he would be somebody if you needed a plug and play. I would look at Tony Jones. Now, I don't hope nobody in my other league, because I've got a claim on him. I hope nobody in my other league is listening to that, because then I won't end up getting him. So I'm sharing you my own personal secret that somebody I'm trying to get. So Tony Jones Jr. out of New Orleans. So those are all options that you probably have. All right.
Yeah, if you look at the transaction trends right now, these are the players that have been currently added on Yahoo. Ford, Hunt, and there's Tony Jones, number 3. He's the 3rd most added running back so far, and the waivers haven't even hit yet. So pull up his stats real quick. He had 15.4 yesterday, 2 targets. So they are targeting him out there in the pass game. And yeah, man, 12 carries, but the touchdowns is what that red zone. So, he could be a little touchdown dependent, but to your point, when Jamal Williams, when they stopped giving the ball to Williams, it was a little different. One thing you have to worry about is Alvin Kamara coming back soon. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
So if you have a low priority, you want to throw it out there, all right, cool, pick him up. But he still may be a temporary.
Yeah, I agree.
Holdover.
And I'm not sure who you mean on Miller. I don't know if you mean Henry Miller from New Orleans, who hasn't really got any playing time, but with Jamal Williams out, he could be sharing carries with Jones. So if that's who you mean by Miller, you can clarify and we can address that. But going to move on to Juicy, who has a question. Hello, Juicy. I think you were here last week. I'm not sure. Best quarterback going forward: Lawrence, Love, Purdy, or Wilson? And so we just throw Wilson out right now. So let's just say Lawrence, Love, and Purdy. You have Lawrence right now, but he's been letting you down bad. We didn't play great against the Chiefs, that's for sure, from a fantasy standpoint. Do you have Love or Purdy, or are they available on the waiver wire? Is that what you're asking? Because if you're trying to decide if you're going to pick one of those two off the waiver wire, you may want to make a claim for both and then go for there.
Man, so yeah, I'm right. I'm gonna sit Wilson to the side as well too. So you have Lawrence, Love, and Purdy. And Lawrence is streaky. Like even this week, he didn't have a good week. Christian Kirk had a good week, but he didn't really have a good week. I'm probably going to lean towards either Love or Purdy, but Lawrence has a lot of options out there, man. Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, ETN can catch the ball as well. Christian Kirk, man, that's tough.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My thing is, I know he has a lot out there, but the 49er defense is going to keep giving the ball to Purdy. I am shocked Purdy's available in your league. So as much as I don't like the 49ers, sorry, Stephen L, but that's because I'm an Eagles fan. But the thing is that I can't deny that their defense is amazing and they've got so many weapons on offense, and Purdy's going to reap the benefits of that. So he's just going to be all year. He's going to be dependable. He may not get you, 50 points a game. He may not throw for 300 plus yards because they've got CMC, who's going to be taking a lot of those points, but he's going to be solid. Love, on the other hand, I think he's shown some really good stuff early, but you don't know when they get into the meat of their schedule who has Green Bay played yet. Right. They're played the Bears and the Falcons. So how good are they really? We don't know. Right. So I think your best bet is Purdy if you've got him, and you can get him. Keep Lawrence if you can, and then maybe bench Lawrence if you need to, and then try it out. All right, so let's look at the next question. We got Priceless Pigeon again. Do you think Kareem Hunt is a good pickup? I didn't mention him out of mind because really he's not signed anywhere,
Right.
so he'd be a stash. So if you're needing something now, I don't think there's a shot that he plays this week. You got to get in, get signed, get the playbook down. It's easier for a running back to pick that up than another skill position. But yeah, I don't, even if like Hunt played anywhere, he's probably not going to. He's not going to put up anything that you need to worry about. But he would be a stash if you've got room on your bench. Since there's rumblings, yeah, I mean that doesn't hurt, but
Right.
not for starting right now. If you need somebody right now, they're not good. So
I agree. I'm right there with you. Because he needs to get in. Then it's probably going to take him maybe a couple weeks to, because Ford looks formidable. He looked formidable. He was he looked really solid.
looks good.
Hard to get down. Solid run. I mean, they drove him back one time. I thought it was going to be like a 3 to 5 yard loss, and he bounced back and boom, Jetson gets 10 that quick. I was like, how did he make up 13, 14 yards in a blink? Just like that. So I think, man, Ford is the one to look out for. I really do. Kareem Hunt, man, I think there's a reason why he's not on the roster. He's not on any. I always get worried when when somebody isn't on anybody's roster. That's when I get worried. How can all these teams out there, we've already mentioned how valuable running backs are. So why isn't he on the roster? So
Right.
that's just my concern when it comes to Kareem Hunt. And he's getting older and older and older. He's not the same guy that was at Kansas City. And then the early years with Cleveland, he was splitting a lot of time with Chubb. They've went away from him the past couple of years. He used to be that little sneaky sniper, for Chubb, but not so much anymore, man. I would lean towards Ford, and also Jones if you have him, if he's available.
There's some options out there. They're not all great, and it all depends on how good the other guys in your league are and whether they can. They're going to be making claims, but the thing is, you claim on all of them, and then you just hope one of them hits, and it depends on where you're at. Just a quick follow up from Stephen L. He just on his bench players because he's sitting right now. He's sitting Thomas, Judy, and Hollywood, so he's feeling away, trading up for potential for superstar. If you can get anybody to give you anything for Hollywood right now, then do it, or Judy too. Thomas, maybe if it's a package deal, but it would have to be another good wide receiver, and I don't know if anybody's going to give you anything for those guys. I mean, right now, I've got a wealth of riches, so I wouldn't give you anything for those guys. Just me. All right. Want to talk about though, because we didn't really talk about some wide receiver waiver targets, because right now we're looking at the injuries that are going on. If you have Devontae Adams, he went out with a head injury on Sunday, which sucks. Jalen Waddle is in the concussion protocol. I mentioned earlier, Brandon Ayuk was hurt. Jacoby Myers, Brandon Cooks for the Cowboys. So if you have any of those guys, you're probably that. Oh, well, I got another question real quick, but we'll get to you here in a minute, Juicy, because he's got a question I really want to answer. You're probably, if you got any of those guys, you're scrambling to because those are big names right there. If you got Cooks, Ayuk, like I do, Jalen Waddle or Devontae, you're struggling. So you got to really be looking at the wide receivers that are available in this league that might help you out. I mentioned some earlier. We talked about Tutu Atwell. That's a big one out there. Who do you got else for me out there? I if you got Tutu or Puka should not be available this week, but it depends on the league you're in. There's a few others. Robert Woods in Houston has had a decent season so far. He's had 11 points and 13 points in our league, in our PPR league on average. So Robert Woods is somebody that you might want to look at. I'm in a 12-team PPR league, and I'm in a 10-team with this guy right here above me. So that Pickens can be kind of slim in the 12-team, but Josh Reynolds is still available in my 12-team league. So guess who's making a claim on him this week? Because I have Ayuk as well, and he's, like I said, he's hurt. Probably be all right, but it's good to have it out there. Now, what else you got on the wide receiver front? And I'm still going to get your question.
So the most added so far is Josh Reynolds. The guy that we've been talking about pretty much. This is like live, people who have actually picked him up. The most ads for wide receivers is him, Dell, like you mentioned, and Woods.
Yeah.
Adam Thielen, he looked really good yesterday. It seemed like if Royce is going to go to anybody, he's going to go to Thielen. Thielen is still an old man, but nine targets, 7 catches. He had 20 points. At the end of the day, that's 20. So if you have a flex or somebody you need to throw in there on the bye week, I think Adam Thielen is formidable. Robert Woods, like you mentioned, you see 11-7 last week and 13-4 this week. Tank Dell, we spoke on Tank Dell, 10 targets, 7 catches, 72 yards in the tutty. And the number one guy that's trending as far as for wide receivers is Josh Reynolds. So those are some really good options for you. Jaden Reed. I mean, who is this guy? I mean, 2 touchdowns. It's some out there, man. If you don't want to, maybe waste your time or something like that with like the Jerry Judys, or if you don't really know how that Denver offense, there's some guys out here, man, that may be new, but they're coming, man. And there's a lot of players out here unknown making good plays. Like, who's picking Reed for 2 touchdowns? If you had that on your parlay, you are rich.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he's out there. Yeah. So I want to get to Juicy's question real quick because it goes back to the Eagles, and I got to answer this one.
I saw that. I was like, this is perfect for you.
Why is there so much hype around Swift? There's no guarantee he's going to be the running back number 1 going for it. I'm a little salty for trading him away last week. If you watched the Thursday night game against Minnesota, there is absolutely the reason why there's hype around him. Now, Swift has been solid his career. The problem with Swift in Detroit is that he was injury prone, and he usually, when he was on the field, though, the guy's got a dynamic highlight reel. He has a cutback that a lot of running backs would die for. He's very elusive. And then if you give him a little bit of a hole, he'll do what he did on Thursday night. 175 yards is nothing to sneeze at. And so when you look at him compared to the other backs on the Eagles roster, Rashad Penny, who had his shot and basically did nothing. You could bring up Penny's numbers. He did nothing. And then you got Boston Scott, who was pretty good, and Gainwell's coming back. Swift has shown he's better than all 3 of them on the field. The question is durability, because here's the thing that we've got to be realistic about with Swift. Are they going to give him more than 20 carries a game when Gainwell gets back? I think that if you know the Eagles, and we do, that they're going to probably limit Swift's carries to 20 unless they're down in a game and they need a spark. You're going to see a kind of a split committee between Gainwell and Swift when he comes back. And right now you'll see it between Swift and Scott until Gainwell can definitely be back. But I've watched Swift. I originally from Detroit, so I've watched a lot of Swift highlights as a Lion. He's a good back. He's a really good back, and he just hasn't had that kind of with that team to have a dynamic season because he hasn't really played that many full seasons. And so if this year he stays healthy, he could be one of the top backs in the NFL. And I believe that. I'm not just saying I'm biased because I'm an Eagles fan. All right, we got some more questions.
Did you hold on that DeAndre Swift? I just wanted to just tap on it for a second. Yeah, I think, I have him up now. 28 carries, that is a lot. And this is considering that Penny had a couple carries as well, too. That whole drive where we could have put the game away and they had Penny in. This is actually questionable. Had Penny in, man, he was clearly a drop-off from DeAndre Swift. One thing Swift can do, he can catch the ball as well, too. So he's shown he can run and he's shown he can catch it. I think he will be RB1 just because of the environment. The Eagles fans will let you know it. Now the pressure's back on Gainwell. If Gainwell comes in and doesn't do anything, they're going to be like, get him out of here. Swift RB1 going forward until further notice. Yeah. So I'm rolling with Swift, but I still think Gainwell is going to. I can see Gainwell getting a lot of early down snaps, but as you get past that 50-yard midfield, I think it's going to be a Swift type of game, man. So I'm riding with Swift over Penny all day.
Yeah, so he held on to Swift all of last year and 2 weeks this year, and then he waved the right flag. I totally get it because I had Cook, Dalvin Cook, and expected him to do well. And he give you numbers here and there, but then he spent almost all of last year injured. So when you got a player like that that's just not available, and then they're platooning him with Jamal Williams when Swift came back from his injury last year, I get it, and I think it's just bad luck because I think that with the Eagles' offensive line that the Lions didn't have. I think Swift is that combination is going to be deadly. So
Yeah.
sorry. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, he could get hurt just like any one of these other backs, just like Chubb. This game is so delicate. All right, back to the questions. We got Bryson 483 asking if he should trade Ramondre and DK for Chase and Tyler Algier. So somebody is trying to get you to trade Ramondre Stevenson and DK.
Hmm.
I'm gonna let you start with this one
Yeah.
and see how you feel before
DK Metcalf is
Yeah.
not off to an ideal start this year. He has
No.
a rib injury as well. I have him personally on my team, so I can tell you just how he's been playing. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it even for even. So should I trade Ramondre for Algier? I'm taking Ramondre because they have Bijan Robinson. Should I chase over DK? It could be a push because you have T. Higgins out there, and Tyler Boyd is still getting catches. So I'm probably will keep Ramondre and DK for now if I'm doing that. So I wouldn't trade for Chase and Tyler because you're really just getting Chase. I think Bijan, as the season goes on, he's going to turn into the bell cow.
That's exactly the point why I was going ooh, because if you're counting on Algier to get you the numbers that Ramondre would get, in replacement, that's not a good bet on you. Yeah, DK's probably, you're probably getting a better receiver in Chase. Chase hasn't showed it yet. My worry about this comes down to the intangibles because even though T had a really good game, they're saying Burrow's ankle is still not 100%. That's going to affect everything going forward.
Right.
So look at what the Seahawks have coming up on the schedule. They got Carolina, the 30th ranked passing defense in the league.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would probably go there. Then you got the Giants who've not been playing good ball. Then you got Cincinnati and Arizona. You got some teams that they could really take advantage of
Right.
in the passing game that DK could get some points. So I'd be really careful with that one because yeah, like you said, you're not getting a running back one in return. You're getting an RB2. So you may want to hang on to it. I did say he had Connor, Ramondre, DK, and Diggs. Definitely hold on to Diggs, but maybe you can get him to take Connor for for Algier. I mean, even though Connor is RB1, it's just I don't trust anybody in Arizona uniform except
Right.
Zach Ertz.
Yeah,
There's nobody
good point.
else I
That's a good
trust
point. Yeah.
that one. So, all right, that's all the questions that we have right now. So, if
Oh,
anybody has any
question.
last minute questions before we get out of here, we can get out some more.
Yeah, we can do a I don't know, maybe come back Thursday or something like that.
Yeah, I think
But
Thursday great
yeah,
for
man, I'm just looking at
lineup projections would be really good.
yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, so we'll hold on to all the week 3 stuff, our matchup and stuff until, we do it on Thursday. Um yeah, man, I think we've talked about it for the most part. And I'm just go over a few things before we do get up out of here. Here we go. Research. Once again, just an unbiased view. These are what the people are adding to their rosters right now. Out of all positions, right now, Ford is at the top. Seattle's defense against Carolina. So if you're looking for a defense, or if you have a defense that's going up against a high-powered, opponent, Seattle's out there. They think Jacksonville's going to beat up on Houston. You have the Josh Reynolds, which we've mentioned a lot. Dallas kicker, whatever. Zach Ertz, I actually ended up, I think, dropping. Yeah, I dropped Zach Ertz back, and he still had 11 points because I have Travis Kelce, man. So it's going to be hard to play him. So he's taking up a spot unless Kelce is hurt. Mentioned Breida for the Saquon backup. And it's just no telling with Breida, man.
Yeah.
These numbers, you can't go by these numbers because Saquon is the bell cow there. He's the workhorse. So these numbers mean nothing. But we know what he can do. He can be a solid back. It's just, I mean, man, how how dependable is he? Got Dell, Warren, Robert Woods. It's still a lot. The point is, it's still a lot out there. If you're 0-2 like me, there's still some stuff out there. There's still some players out there that you can pick up. And stardom, man. Lee made the point last week. Don't be hung up on names. Names. Um, Alabama's going through that right now. They're just anybody that plays them, they're just showing up. Like, we don't even care. But beware of the names, man. You have to play, of what the scheme is going. Especially PPR leagues, man. It could be a team that you don't like to watch, but if it's got a player putting up numbers, you have to kind of go with it, man. Do you have any more hot picks, man, on the waiver wire for this week?
I think I've exhausted all the hot takes we've got out there. It all depends on what you got, but and what's available in your league. But again, when you do the research, especially if you're new to fantasy, and that's kind of what we're trying to help people out here with this channel. We're not getting anything out of it. We're just fellow enthusiasts like yourself.
Right.
Look ahead. Look ahead to when is there the person there. If they're a backup, when is the person coming back that's helping them out? What's their schedule look like for not just this week, but for the next 3 or 4 weeks? What are they going to be? Who are they going to be playing? Are they tough run defenses, pass defense? So you make the right move with your waiver claim. And when all else fails, just claim everything that you can within reason of what players you got, so that you might get something good. So it's a tough thing. The waiver wire is a cruel mistress, but good luck to everyone out there in your leagues to be able to get what you want. I don't know if Micah has a question. We had Micah come in and say, hey, Micah, how you doing?
But,
If you have a question, we can answer it real quick before we run. We'd be glad to. We're probably got about maybe 3 more minutes before we head out of here. So if you got one real quick, we'll be glad to answer it. Otherwise, yeah, the Eagles got Monday night against Tampa Bay. Both teams 2-0. I did not expect Tampa Bay to be 2-0
me
going
either.
into this game. I really didn't. Eagles having a lot of injuries in the defensive side of the ball. It looks like that Reed Blankenship should be back. Bradbury should be back. Both of them minor injuries. And so we got to see how that goes. We lost Devontae Maddox, the corner slot corner for the entire season with the pectoral, and it's a mess. So we got to see if they replace him. We did replace our punter. Aaron Sipas is gone. They brought in somebody else to kick the ball. So here we got this question for Micah. He's got quarterback Hurts, go Eagles. Chase, Allen, and Watson. Running back Barkley, that's tough. Moss, tight end Pitts, flex Hollywood. Bench. He's got Halls, Kamara, Myers. 10-man PPR. At least you're in 10-man because you're going to need to go to that bench. And you got Ford. Good on you if you got him.
And Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, double good on you.
Yeah.
You have Ford and Williams. I think you're in a luxury seat right now because people are scrambling. Those guys are putting up numbers, man. So,
especially if Barkley's going to miss some time, you could probably do, like, if you're coming in late to the show, we ran over several possible wide receivers that could be out there. I don't trust Hollywood right now, basically because the way that offense is. But we went over some wide receivers that you might be able to find. We talked about Woods being available in a lot of leagues. Just go over my personal list that I have that I'm trying. Tutu Atwell might be available. Puka Nacua is probably not available. Depends on the league if people aren't up on what's going on. We got 3 or 4 guys in my 12-man PPR. They don't even change their bench. They don't do nothing. They just leave everything on automatic. It's frustrating. Josh Reynolds, we talked about really highly as a wide receiver that if he's out there, he'd be a good flex for your team. You've got Chase, so you've got that working for you, and you got Allen. So, but yeah, you've got Barkley is going to be hurt, so that's something you got to go on. What do you think, Tubby, about all this?
I like his team. I think with Saquon, I think the things that you need, you already have. So you need a running back, but you already have Williams and
Yeah.
Ford. Those are the ones that people want the
Yep.
most right now. So I think you're in a good position until Saquon comes back. I like your team. Yeah, I wouldn't really change a whole lot because there's not a whole lot that's better out there. And you have Alan Kamara stash. He's going to come back. And I think how long was he suspended? 3 weeks?
4.
Was it 6? 4?
I think he's,
So yeah, when you get Kamara back, man, and if Williams is still doing his thing, and then you have Kamara, Barkley, and Williams, man, that could be a nice 3-headed monster with 2 slots and then the flex. Jalen Hurts, man, he's always going to get those little tush pushes.
Yep.
So he's a tough one to bench. because he can score in any manner. He can run or he can throw it. And he's proven that almost, damn near every game, he kind of can have one of each, one passing touchdown, one rushing touchdown. I mean, Allen had an incredible week. Yeah, man, I think that's Christian Watson.
Yeah,
he's a little like we talked about Green Bay. We don't really know how tough their schedule is or what type of team they really are. They should have beat the Falcons this weekend, so that's kind of telling. But when it comes to straight fantasy, man, Christian Watson is that dude. He had a great year last year, bust on the scene. So I like your team, man. I wouldn't change too much. If you have the ability to put Saquon on the IR slot on your bench, if you carry those in your league, and then maybe pick up somebody else like Josh Reynolds, like we like Dell, Thielen. If you're still looking running back, which I think you have the best one, you already have 4.
Yeah,
so maybe if you want to get Tony Jones or Matt Breida or Warren, those are some folks you can look at.
With Zach Moss, Williams, and Ford right now, he's sitting pretty. I mean, you could throw one of those in the flex and then start the other 2, and you're good. Like you said, you got Kamara coming back, and if the other guys that are out there right now, like we talked about Jones and New Orleans, because Jamal Williams is hurt, he might be a stopgap till Kamara comes back, and it could be that Kamara comes back and Jones takes over that role. We don't know until Kamara comes back and who's going to be the top dog there, because Jones had 2 touchdowns on Monday night. So there's some options for you. So
just real quick, you have Pitts. The one thing that any moves when you put Barkley on the IR should free up a spot. I think you should look in maybe picking up Hill if he's available in your league, because he's always going to get points and whatnot, or Zach Ertz. Just in case Pitt still has the slide he's had. What is Hill doing? He always that's not a whole lot.
I would probably go
Zach Ertz. He's just Ertz. Yeah, go Zach Ertz if you want to improve there on your tight end spot when you have Barkley on IR. That'd be my advice.
Ertz is the 8th ranked tight end right now after 2 weeks, and it's clear that the offense is going through him because Arizona doesn't have a lot on that team. So, and they're going to be struggling all year long, and he's going to be a safety valve.
Yep.
So he's got talks for trades for CMC and Hill. That's if you can pull those off for low value on, high value on your end, or to get those guys, low value on theirs, dumping some of these guys, because those would be huge. But don't give up too much, because somebody, if they have it, they'll try to rake you over the coals to get your best players away. But CMC, I talked about earlier, if you get a hold of him, it depends on how much you have to give up. He's going to be the cornerstone of your team on that running back position. You don't really need a lot when you got CMC. It's just the way it is.
Right, man. He's worth like 2 players.
Yeah.
He's worth like 2 players.
Yeah, 20 plus points a week, almost guaranteed. So unless he gets hurt, which he's been known to get hurt, but you take the risk you take with everybody. So that's what we saw. That was the theme of kind of the show, is that everybody has got injury problems right now, and everybody's looking for some help. So we got somebody else popped in. You want to take one more question?
Yeah, let's take one more. Okay.
All right, we got a 12-man PPR, and he's typing the question right now, I'm sure. But I mean, I can't believe, and I'm just crossing my fingers that I don't lose anybody in the next coming weeks, because I've been lucky so far. I have David Montgomery that's banged up, and that's it in both my leagues.
There are definitely ebbs and flows to the fantasy football season, man. Mel, I'm telling you, Mel was dead in the water most of the year, and then his team got red hot, man. Late, snuck into the playoffs. I think he was like the last seed and just ran the table. You're never out of it, man. You're never out of it. 12-man PPRs are hard. Oh, go ahead.
There we go. You got quarterback T-Law, running backs are Saquon, Hall, Kamara, McKinnon, wide receivers Devontae Terry, Jacoby, Godwin, Kelsey, nice, and Everett. His question is, should he go for A.J. Brown? Guys asking for Breece Hall.
100%. I'm giving up A.J. Brown. I'm getting A.J. Brown and giving away Breece Hall. To me,
my only problem,
I don't have any running back depth.
My only problem is he's got Saquon down and Kamara not back yet, and we don't even know what Kamara he's going to get when he gets back. So Breece is all you've got. that's tough.
Right.
So
That's you're right, man. Let me see. Maybe
yeah,
go for
so
Ford off the waiver wire if he's there. But
yeah,
Brees Hall, man, he has been, that first game was solid against
yeah,
Buffalo.
and
Was
yeah,
solid.
and honestly, yeah, the thing
Dallas
about
defense.
it, so the guys asking for Brees Hall, the upside for you is if you get rid of Brees, think about what the Jets are dealing with right now. They're gonna have to run the ball a lot, but with Wilson behind center, so many teams are gonna be putting 8 men in the box, and you got Cook there as well, so it could work out in your favor that you give up Hall and then it pays off because your other players might work out for you. I would look at what you've got on the waiver wire. Since you probably just joined us, we threw out a lot of names. I'll throw them out again one more time. I got my own personal list of what I wanted this week. So you might want to look for these guys and then do the deal after the waiver wire processes. So some of the guys on my watch list were Ford, of course, if you can get him at Cleveland because Chubb is gone for the season. Zach Moss at Indy, if he's available in your league, he's really proven to be the RB1. Jalen Warren in Pittsburgh, he's going to push Najee Harris. And it looks like that game Monday night showed that Warren has probably got the better legs. And we also talked about Tony Jones Jr. out of New Orleans with the injuries to Jamal Williams and Kamara still not being available since you got Kamara. That might help you out. Tony Jones had 2 touchdowns on Monday night against Carolina. So some ideas maybe to help you out. He's got Ford for McKinnon in his first claim. So yeah, that's a good idea. Throw in some other claims because you could do multiple with the same player. You can do Moss for McKinnon, depending on what you got. And that way, if you don't get it, it'll drop down to the next one in your waiver wire, and you might get what you need. It won't hurt you if you do that. So give it a shot and then see what you got, and then you might be able. Because if that's the case, and you can get a couple of these waiver running backs, then I would definitely do it. I would definitely get AJ for Brees. That's a no-brainer if you can get some running back help on your team.
Especially after Brown's been complaining. So they're going to go to him a lot this week, which I hope they don't force the ball like they did in the previous game because that can get ugly.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you. That's great advice. I got Ford for McKinnon. I mean, that's solid, man, because they still have Edwards, Hilaire, and Pacheco out there. So
Yeah.
you're you aren't. I don't think you're losing much. McKinnon can catch that ball out of the backfield. That is his strong suit. But yeah, man.
And as an Eagles fan, AJ Brown is great, but be patient because he's got Devontae across from him. So some games it may be AJ may get you 3 touchdowns. Some games it may be 70 yards and no touchdowns. Be patient. You're going to have ups and downs with him, but he is solid over the course of a season. He had over 1,000 yards last year. I forget how many touchdowns, but he had double digits. So good player if you can get him from Brees Hall. So yeah. All right. It is 9:09. We're 9 minutes over what we normally do.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming out, showing us some love, giving us your time, man, and then asking some questions. We're gonna go through this fantasy football thing together. It's stressful for all of us, but if you're Greg or Lee, you're doing well. You're sitting pretty right now at 2-0. If you're like me, you're 0-2, and I'm going to be looking to the waiver wire, looking to take some of my own advice to bounce back. I'm going up against Lee this week, so give it everything I got, man. Again, man, thanks everybody for coming by. We'll see you guys on Thursday, probably around the same time frame. You can go ahead and follow, share this stream, anything that helps. Get everybody questions in there. We can learn this fantasy football thing together, man. With that said, man, I'm gone. Any final words, Lee?
No, just hey, good luck this week going up against me, but we'll talk about that matchup on Thursday. So that'll be a lot of fun. So going head to head, the two of us this week in fantasy. So that'll be a lot of fun. Tune to that on Thursday. Otherwise, I'll say have a good night, guys. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And have a great evening. And we had a question come in. If we can hold on to that, we'll address it on Thursday because we're
on Thursday. Come back and see us Thursday. Like I said, again, this is Tubby with my boy Lee as always, man. And it's the Fantasy Waiver Wire. Thanks for stopping by. See you guys on Thursday. Gone.